in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
I just love that clip. Irrational thoughts. I have the greatest guests on the show, but I always make it start with a joke here. So our guest today is, man, she's got a great company. It's called Up-Level Your Communication, Evolve Your Presence and Speech to Change Everything. So I have to watch my diction today. She's got an intuitive and scientific problem-solving superpower, which is coming from years of multi-passionate work, 9-to-5 retail, entrepreneur, investor, been on nonprofit boards, on stage, screens, performer. She sold everything from magazine advertising to Steinway grand pianos. That's going to be a good story. She's got a BS in music business and a PhD in holistic psychology. So obviously she's smarter than me. We're going to get into all that stuff and talk about what she's done with acting and business, and mainly how to focus on your presence, how you can communicate with people. So without further ado, I'll bring on our guest today, Miluna Fausch. Miluna, how are you today? Whoops, let me get the camera working here. There we go. Good shape.
I'm well. Hello, everyone.
So I always like to start with some contrarian, like, wow, I got to stick around for this thing. Why should I bother listening to Doug and Miluna for 20 minutes? So what's the reason we should talk about our communication? What are we doing wrong?
We're not always self-aware. We may think we're speaking well, the delivery's wonderful in the presentation, and we are not hitting the mark and we are not effective.
Okay. And we're gonna reveal what that is, because yeah, even people who I've seen who are professionals, right? They're doing something, but they're an orator. They're not really connecting with the audience. So I want to talk more about that. Before we do, I want to find out how you got involved with it. What a wide range of things you've done. How did you get involved with what you're doing right now? What was the step that brought you here?
Thank you. My personality is one of those where I seem to need to experience. I don't like the word try, but I needed to experience everything and figure out who I was, what I loved, what was life about for me. So I'm returning, perhaps if we could say that, to my first love, the voice. I studied piano, I studied flute, but I've always been in love with voices and what we could do around them. So it's a full circle to both my own voice and helping my clients find their voice.
Right. Okay. And how did selling pianos relate to that? That's a wide range of stuff here.
I don't know that it does, other than I was a horrible salesperson. I was supposed to be aggressive and badmouth the other stores. I had a problem with that. I was very young. I was shy. I got to play a lot of piano. I didn't sell them well. I got fired. So perhaps it's just that experience of selling, learning your own level of integrity, and getting fired from a job.
Right. Huh. Okay. You know, you've got this thing we're going to talk about in a minute, the 7-step vocal archetypes. It's a very specific thing. You've analyzed voices and what the archetypes are, which I can't wait to hear those. But before we go through those, I'm curious about, in terms of communication, right? I've often said, because we're a publishing company, right, that we have, we communicate with the written word, but we don't speak the way we read, and we don't hear the way we write. And there's the disconnect, I think, when people are speaking versus, writing. What's been the biggest challenge you've seen when training people on improving their voice and voice communication?
It's that stage fright. It's that rambling inner thought coming out in the form of ums, ahs, like, so, right. The filler words, which for my ears are static interference. When I start counting the ums of the speaker, he or she's lost me. The message is not being impactful. We really, literally cannot hear you. So it's the ability to overcome that, learn to be in the present moment, and let's be deliberate and intentional with what we're actually speaking. We need to be on point with that.
Yeah. What's been, and all the people you've worked with, obviously don't mention their name, but what was the biggest challenge you had in helping somebody out?
The biggest challenge is I had a client who's, I may not want to list the security, I almost said it. Let's just say tech. highly educated, ambitious, born in another country. She is so in love, and we're not blaming anyone, especially in the US. We're applauded for our left brain and our IQ.
Right.
The challenge was getting her to stay in the moment. And what she could not seem to understand was it's who you be.
Mm.
It's your being and your presence that gets you promoted. Yes, I want to speak beautifully. I want to have confident, high frequency words. But who am I? That's the missing point for a lot of people. I don't care how many MBAs you have. If you cannot articulate what you're going to bring to that company or make that pitch that shows us that's a leader I want to fund, you're not effective, and you're not going to be the bigness and the greatness that you are.
Yeah. You know, it's so strange to me. I have no trouble speaking, but we've all heard this old joke that, number one fear is speaking, the second is dying. So you'd rather be given a eulogy than in the casket. I'd rather be in the casket than give the eulogy. A message. And I'm just wanting your perspective on this. Why is that the biggest fear, speaking? I mean, it's obviously not speaking. It's being embarrassed to fubbing up, right? That's the essence of it.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
It's the shades of our still reptilian brain, because we used to have to hide in a cave to escape the tiger who was coming after us.
Right.
And so we still have all those survival mechanisms. And it's, as you said, oh my gosh, I'm going to be on stage. I'm going to look bad. I'm going to look stupid. I'm going to blow it. People are going to judge me. I'm going to forget what I have to say.
Yeah.
And we get all caught up in ourselves. It becomes all about us instead of about the other person in the audience. That's what's happening, that physical dread and physical reaction to fear.
That makes total sense. I love the brain science stuff. The limbic brain definitely runs the show.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a great trick. I'm hopefully not getting into your solutions here, but focusing on the audience, not yourself, is a good way to dissolve a lot of that hesitation, I suppose.
It is one of my best tips.
Yeah.
As an actor, best training ground in the world, I had to overcome my own stage fright. I was taught to be seen and not heard as a kid, and usually not very seen either.
Yeah.
Just sit down and be quiet. Nobody wants to hear from you.
Sure.
If we understand it's our scene partner, it's our audience, and we get out of our own way, it's not about us. It becomes it becomes exactly what we don't want it to be about, us, all about me.
Yeah.
Focus on your audience, your message, tell that story. And if you'll practice and be clear about your story and the message, it will begin to shift. Once we can start strongly focused on outside of us instead of inside, we're going to be much more effective and impactful.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, I need to hear about these archetypes. I got to find out where I fall here. So there's 7 vocal archetypes to train conscientious leaders in confident and compelling public speaking and stage presence. That's your moniker here. So do you want to go through those 7 archetypes with us?
It's actually a system. So there aren't exactly 7 archetypes. But the archetypes are, and I only address women and men. There are many others for folks who identify otherwise. But for a man, it is, and I love the formal, so it's a lad or the young boy. It's the father archetype. It's the sovereign, and it's the elder or grandpapa. And there are aspects to all of that. For a woman, it is the maiden, it is the mother, it is the good queen, and it is the elder. And sometimes in our spiritual practice, we even add a 5th for a woman over 90, let's say. This is a word that has become so maligned. Hag. The literal meaning of hag in the real sense is holy woman.
Oh, maybe we just better use a longer version then.
Yes. So for the elders above 90, it's literally holy woman or holy man because of the wisdom that you hold after a lifetime.
That's right. Yeah. That's neat. Okay. So you got a 7-step, I'm sorry, not 7 archetypes, 7 steps to training your mind on that. So maybe you want to go through just a couple of those steps to get people interested. Then we can obviously give your website out. But if you give a couple of steps on that, that'd be helpful.
Yes, I think the overcoming the stage fright is huge. So what I have mentioned already, train yourself by listening. You can audio record yourself, probably better than video, because I don't want anybody beating up themselves. I don't look good. Let's start with how you're speaking in the auditory. Record yourself and monitor. Do I use filler words instead of deliberate words with meaning? And then train yourself to take a breath. And we're so uncomfortable in the United States with silence, not so much in a culture such as Japan, where they're okay with long periods of silence. So don't flip out. Don't think you're being silent for 10 seconds, but a great speaker, you'll hear me. I pause for a minute. I gather my thoughts. I breathe. And then I speak with deliberation and a purposeful word. Another hint is squeeze your buttock muscles. Yes, anatomy lesson 101. 2 things happen when you do that. The oxygen and brain go to your core, so you'll focus again. You'll get back in your body. No one can tell what you're doing. Your posture will improve, and it'll interrupt any sort of fear, or what I say is going up into your head and becoming this.
Yeah.
Stay in your body. Stay in the moment. That's where the magic is. That's how you'll reach your audience.
Yeah. I know a professional speaker from Australia, and her whole shtick was she had a stick man, right? And her whole thing was putting the pin in. So if you can squeeze a pin between your butt cheeks, your posture is going to be great. You'll have presence on that. So the visualization of holding a pin there, was her thing. It was kind of humorous.
That's pretty graphic.
Yeah.
And you asked me to mention 2 areas of the archetypes. I'll circle back.
Yes.
The other one is get a hold of the mindset. So certainly we want a physical practice to overcome. But let's reframe. The truth is, most people in the audience are rooting for you. They want you to do well. If you're an actor, they want you to be the right actor for the position.
Right.
And as actors, oh my gosh, we're so insecure. And as executives, we're insecure. But let's decide that people are for us, not against us, and that they have compassion, and they're probably thinking about themselves, not judging you, actually.
Yeah, that's a very good point. It's funny. I was a judge for a comedy festival once, and had to watch 100 comics and score them. And yes, I wanted to laugh. I really wanted to support the guy, but when he bombed, and I can't imagine. I mean, if everybody wants to train to be a public speaker, go to open mic night and tell a few jokes. How that goes.
Truly, you want to be in front of the fire. Exactly.
Yeah. Have you ever done that? You done stand up?
No, I always, my joke is I'm tired. I'll do sit down comedy.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I like that. Yeah. Being aware and listening. And what is it with when we listen to our own voice, we always hate it? Why is that? Because
we can't hear it like other people. Yeah. Our ears are facing out, aren't they? And part of successful communication, we forget, is being a good listener. If we're not actively listening or deeply listening, we're not a great communicator. So one thing that we can do is literally talk into the corner of a room, because then you can experience your voice more like other people. And so sometimes I say to clients, I'm not asking you to love your voice yet. You'll even hear famous singers who say, I don't like my own voice. I'm asking us to make peace with our voice and know that we can build a better voice. I've spent how many years working on my voice? Oh yeah, I still have a voice teacher myself if I need it, and do sometimes. Celebrities, great speakers have a coach. They train all the time. So let's have compassion, speak into the corner, experience your voice more like others, and let's set an intention of making peace with the voice you were given and know that you can also improve it, just like any other muscle or skill that you want to master.
Yeah. What do you do when somebody's got a talk to give? I mean, I don't know, this is maybe just too tactical, but like if you've got a sore throat, or do you have any exercises? Someone's got screaming at a football game, they got to give a speech the next day. What can you do to relax and train the vocal cords?
Yes. Drink as much water, room temperature, filtered, I say, because most tap water has chlorine, chloramine with ammonia, fluoride in some cities and states. These are toxic. So room temperature water, hydration will help the throat very, very quickly. I like a throat lozenge. Let's see, what do I use? Vocal Ease, I believe it's called. I think they're from the UK. It calms the throat, or it calms down any abuse, and as you said, screaming or overuse.
Yeah.
And then you must rest your voice. So no talking, warm up in the shower, do a few vocal warm-ups, and that's your best bet to make sure you can get through that presentation. Keep breathing as well. Allow your vocal cords to be in a more relaxed state, not
honey and lemon actually help. Does honey and lemon actually help with the no?
I don't like citrus. It's a little too harsh for many people. I don't ever use it. Honey can, except some people have allergies and sensitivities. If you want a hot beverage, then some hot tea would also soothe the throat, but I wouldn't add anything to it. Just pure black or green tea.
Okay. The most important question I have, I'm saying to the end here, is like, if I'm an executive, right? I run a company, I do a bunch of things. How do I recognize that I need improvement with my vocal communication? What would be a trigger for me to go, oh, I maybe need to go work on that?
I think there's a few things. If you're getting reactions versus responses, if sometimes, although rarely, as you just asked me this question, rarely will people tell you it's your voice. What they might say is, you don't exhibit executive presence. There's no charisma. People aren't leaning in. You seem like you're anxious. Is everything okay? Did you get new glasses? I mean just random things that people are trying to say, but most people won't tell you. It's a trust factor. It's so personal, our voice. And if you're surrounded by yes people, like many executives, nobody's going to tell you the truth.
Right.
So ask someone who loves you enough to tell you the truth. You could really use some coaching around that. Your media interview didn't go well. You're not being promoted. These are signs that take a look at your communication. Develop some more self-awareness and emotional intelligence about what's going on. How do you feel after a speech or presentation? If you feel bad, that's also a sign.
Yeah, good one. All right, so asking someone who's not a yes man for their raw feedback is a good start. Or if you have any inkling that maybe you could do better, they should contact you. How do they get hold of you?
Yes, milunafausch.com, and we'll spell that and write that. Should I spell that?
Yeah, spell it out. It's also in the show notes below here. They're watching, but spell it out anyway. Yeah.
Wonderful. So Miluna is Miluna. Fausch is F like fantastic, AUSCH. milunafausch.com. Folks can ask for my chapter 6 from my book as a free gift. You can send me a message, ask me a question, reach out through my website.
Terrific. Miluna, I really appreciate you coming to the show today. Thank you very much. Folks, if you have any questions about your voice or having a more commanding presence, Miluna is the person to talk to. So go to milunafausch.com. And Miluna, any parting words of wisdom today for our guests?
I think consider your voice as its healthy self-expression. You can communicate your value, your perspective, your problem-solving skills, your superpowers, and you can express your love.
Love that. Good one. Appreciate that so much. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Talk to you later.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
And that concludes our show for today. The one from Maluna Fausch. Go to malunafausch.com. Check her out. I think she's got some good stuff there. And if you're curious about that, she's the person to talk to. And of course, take notes for the show. If you didn't take notes, you can click below and get the show notes here. Just click below and they'll be emailed right to you. That concludes our show for today. We'll see you next time. Thank you very much.